Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new album by Paul Heaton and Jacqui Abbott. It is MCR Calling. So yes, I'll just be doing the usual thing in this video, giving a bit of background information about the album, then showing you my vinyl copy of it here, and then look at each of the album songs in detail. So this is the fourth album which the duo have released, and it very much continues in a similar vein to their last three albums, using the same backing band and the same producer, John Williams, who Heaton has worked with since the House Martins days. However, unlike those previous albums, this is a proper double album containing 16 songs, and Heaton, I said, that it was in part a response to the Clash album, London Calling, kind of a northern alternative for the new century. Now, as usual, Heaton wrote most of the lyrics to the songs while travelling in Belgium and Holland, and later fleshed out the musical ideas of many of the songs back in the studio with the guitarist Johnny Lexus. Now, this was, I believe, also Heaton's first record which he recorded in Manchester. He's been living there for I think about 17 years now. And now, he recorded it at Salford's Blueprint Studios, apparently because he wanted to spend as much time with his family as possible. Okay, now since its release, it has got a mostly positive critical reception. Whether some fans, I'm a member of a couple of Paul Heaton groups on Facebook. Some fans simply couldn't be pleased. With some saying it was rather samey compared to the last three albums. While also not liking the moments on here where he's stretching himself out, trying something new. But commercially, it seems to have done pretty well for him. It's on course to top the UK albums charts. Meaning this would be Heaton's first #1 album since The Beautiful South's Quench in 1998. So yeah, I will try to show you my vinyl copy. I have also got the CD to it. This just arrived today, along with my concert tickets. I'm lucky enough to be going to see him twice this year. One at Liverpool Arena, and then another at Blackburn, at a intimate acoustic gig, which should be really fantastic. So yeah, you've just got a little book here, the lyrics to the songs. Really nice artwork. This is the first album of theirs to actually feature to feature photos of them on the artwork. I think that photo there is taken from the Stockport gig, which I was actually at last year. So yeah, really nice artwork. So that's the CD. And then the vinyl is very similar. Just got the cover, which notably this was taken by former Beautiful South bandmate Sean Welsh. He was their bass player. He seems to have taken on a new life as a photographer. So yeah, it's got this it's Beecham Tower in Manchester, Manchester's tallest building there. This is also a lovely signed copy as well. So Paul and Jackie's signature there. Then you've got the track listed on the back of it. And this has, again, that gatefold image just really nice there, of them playing live, doing what they do best. You've got two printed inner sleeves of this as well, which has all of the lyrics there, which you really need with a Paul Heaton album, just to keep track of what's going on, to be honest. Again, more pictures there, and the vinyls themselves look like that, and that's what the label looks like. And the other inner sleeve, again, very similar sort of design to it there. Okay, just got nice pictures of them there, playing live, and the lyrics. So yeah, that's a vinyl record looked at. Okay, so I'll now go over each of the album songs. So there's 16 tracks in total here, so yes, it is quite a hefty album, but I will look at each song in detail, score each track out of 10, and then use those scores to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. The only exercise I get is you. So it kicks off with a song, The Only Exercise I Get Is You, which is a really fun, really good sort of upbeat country knees-up number, lyrically about how a couple have become sort of lazy in their relationship, and the only exercise they get is when they're in bed together. So yeah, it's quite a sort of suggestive song, but yeah, really fun, really witty. Arrangement wise, it's kind of jam-packed. You've got a lot of brass going on on the track, which maybe in places drowns out their vocals a little bit, but is just a really good punchy opener, which I think would make a really strong second single from the album. So yeah, The Only Exercise I Get Is You would get a 9 out of 10. When they look back on my journey, my behavior, my choice. And then the next song up is called If You Could See Your Faults, which is a Jacqui lead vocal, and it's lyrically sort of like she's sort of like singing about like someone like he thinks that like they're flawless, like while she like herself, like is in like a abusive relationship. Like one of the lines goes, I often ask myself what's better, to be ignored or to be used. And if you could see your faults like I see mine. I really like the arrangement, like on like the track, like the instrumentation I think works really well. Got a great organ part, like great sort of like playful bass line, and like just a really good like toe tapping beat. So yeah, that one would also get a 9 out of 10.
I'm someone's superhero, just don't know who.
And then the first, slightly dodgy song on the album is Somebody's Superhero, which is a song which might grow on me, but right now I can only really give it a 6 out of 10. It's a kind of slower, more sort of moody piece, like song solo, like by Heaton. Usually it's kind of like being a superhero, like as like a metaphor for kind of like wanting to be there for someone. Like he sings with it, they'll fly through the sky and jump right out of the sea, but no one thought to call up good old me. And yeah, just for me though, it's musically like a little bit flat, and kind of parts of the lyrics seem forced to kind of keep up like this sort of like the superhero theme, like and like metaphor like throughout it. So yeah, I would give that one a 6 out of 10, but you never know, it might grow on me.
You see big news these days. His headlines
And then the next one up, which closes off the first side, is Big News in a Little World, which is a real sort of glam rock stomper, this one. I could actually really imagine Morrissey like doing like this song. This song here like would definitely be like a lot better than the stuff which he's coming out with like nowadays. And like Jacqui sings this one pretty well. Heaton does some great sort of backing vocals. Like I like how he sings like quite low, like in like his register, gives it like a really like sort of like good contrast between like the two vocalists. And lyrically, it's about how like often the news, like and like the media, will focus on issues of little importance, like while like ignoring bigger issues. The chorus goes, "Let the flag of the state of loneliness fly, finally being unfurled, as I bring you massive news in this little world." And yeah, it is just a good song. This one, I would give it a 8 out of 10 overall.
You and me were meant to be together.
Next up is the single, which is You and Me Were Meant to Be Together, which, yeah, really obvious choice for the single, I think. It's just a really fun, bouncy little country song with really clever lyrics, like full of like similes to do with like things like which shall go together. He sings like Inspector Morse or Sherlock Holmes to Clue, Captain Cook and HMS Endeavour, You and Me Were Meant to Be Together. It is just Heaton writing a genuinely charming like little love song, but using his usual wit and usual creativity, creates something a little bit out of the ordinary. So yeah, this one I would personally give a 10 out of 10 to. Like it's a song like which, since it was like released like last month, like I've like really like grown to like. So yeah, would give that one a full 10 out of 10.
On the outskirts of the dance floor in club.
Next up is another sort of slightly slower ballad, and it's called The Outskirts of the Dance Floor, which when I first heard it, really reminded me of the beautiful South song Blackbird on the Wire. And like lyrically, like it's about sort of like going to like a dance or like a club and like feeling very out of place and like very sort of like left out, like a fool kind of thing. He sort of described himself like as two left-footed me. Notably though, the female vocalist on this track isn't Jacqui, like it is Heaton's daughter Maisie, and like she does a really great job singing on the song. Like it's a nice change out from Jacqui, and yeah, this song really has grown on me like since I first heard it. Probably like when I first played it, would have given it like a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10, but right now I would give it like an 8 because I do think that it is a really good song and like has some like really like good interesting lyrics on it. The next song we get is called So Happy, which is a really fun little kind of bouncy track, I think. Like it is slightly twee, but I do kind of like the combination of the sort of like the current production techniques along with the old school sort of swing / jazz like trombones and like kind of like the melody like off it, like really kind of like old school like retro feeling to it. Lyrically is sort of like the usual Heaton territory, like about like a warring couple, like we were only saved by the promise of wedlock, now we're here in a permanent headlock, like goes like the chorus. And yeah, it's just a really fun like little light-hearted song, like which again like I could certainly see being a single from the album. So yeah, So Happy would get a 9 out of 10.
And a good day these days is hard to find.
track up, which closes off the second side and is kind of the halfway point on the album, is called A Good Day Is Hard to Find. Which is possibly my favourite on the album, I would say. It's a really upbeat track musically, but lyrically, like, kind of like looking at like sort of like an average, like sort of like dead end, like sort of like boring week. Like he sings like a good day these days, full of alrights and okays, full of backhanded compliments and the faintest of praise. And yeah, as I said, could be my favourite like on the album. I just like the juxtaposition of the really joyous arrangement with like the more like sort of like downbeat like lyrics like on the song. So yeah, I would give that one a 10 out of 10. Really, really, really great song there.
Fat of the land.
Next up on the album is called Fat of the Land, and it's probably the most political song on the album. It's very much like Heaton's response like to like the whole Brexit thing. Like the chorus off it goes, they put up their borders, more passport control, separate countries divide up our souls, and like that, like how like in like the end, like it's global warming that'll bring us together. And yeah, I think he sings the song quite well. It's maybe not one of my absolute favourites on the album, but you never know, it might grow on me. But right now, I would give it a 7 out of 10.
All my friends are dead, all holed up in the shed.
And then the next song up is another favourite of mine on the album. Is called All of My Friends, which is another more like rockier song on the album, and yes, another favourite of mine. It's kind of about how friends like lose contact like over the years. Like he sings like on the chorus, we're left twiddling our thumbs and moaning no one comes. In truth, it's probably me who's dead to them. And yeah, I just think it's like, again, a really good song, really good arrangement on it, nice organ, really sort of beefy guitars like on it. So yeah, another song I can't really find like any fault with. So yeah, we'll give that one a 10 out of 10.
Make your deodorants expensive, your restaurants cheap.
Next one up on the album is called The Prison, which at least at the introduction of it really reminds me of the song Good as Gold, like at least like in like kind of like the bouncy piano, like so like evokes like that song, like, but then it goes in like a slightly different direction. Lyrically very much a kind of like a pro-feminist song, like which like Jacqui sings. She sings like, I've seen the chat lines, the smacks behinds, the fast and flashy cars, because the prison that they're offering doesn't always show the bars. So kind of like about like how like so like women like so like in like this day and age like still sort of like can feel like so like imprisoned like in that like, but it is a really good song. Again, it's maybe not for me as strong as some of the others like on the album, but it is again a quality piece of songwriting, and like yeah, a really good track there, where I would give a 8 out of 10 to.
It's likely that I've heard your tale before.
And then closing off side 3 of the album is called House Party 2. And yeah, this one is a really interesting song. Again, it's a kind of Dylan-esque song, like in some ways, kind of like the fact that it does have a lot of verses to it. It kind of tells a bit of a story, this one here, like kind of like about like a woman like meeting like a musician like at like a house party, but like kind of like not taking like any like off like his like bullshit like or like his like advances. Like she sings like, so please don't say that you're in a band or tell me about your yacht. It's likely that I've heard your tale before. I would say though, kind of like the verses of it, they're not too catchy, but it's not really supposed to be like this one here. Like it's a bit more kind of like serious like songwriting like than that. Like, but I would still give it like an 8 out of 10. Again, potential to go up. I maybe don't like the fact that like they are swearing quite a lot like on this song, like using some quite strong words like on it. Like I won't like repeat like what like they sing like on like some parts like off like the song. I mean, like I'm not like a sort of like a I'm not too sensitive to that, but it just seems a bit like unnecessary like on this song like especially like so yeah but like I would give it though like an 8 out of 10.
What I had when I shaved off all my hair.
Okay, and then we're finally on to the final side of the album, which starts off with a song called He's Got What I Had, which is probably the closest thing like I would say to filler on this album. Yeah, like I didn't really know like what to make of it like on first listen. It's starting to grow on me a little bit, the song. Slightly overblown arrangement to it though. You've got all these sort of like timpani drums and like these sort of like this lush like orchestration like on like the song, like which I don't really think it needs too much, and like yeah, like lyrically doesn't really stand out to me like either, but it's pleasing enough like when it's on. Like it's not a bad song, like it's not a song like which like when it's on like you want to sort of like skip ahead like kind of thing. Like it's a good song, so I would give it a 7 out of 10 for that one.
Every time he opens his mouth, it's like we are gathered.
But then we get a really nice song following that called New York Ivy, which is a really, again, a different kind of sound like for Paul Heaton. It's sort of kind of got a chilled out like reggae slash sort of like calypso style to the song. Got a really catchy riff like on it, and it's very light on its feet, very sort of like bubbly like little song this. Lyrically, it's about kind of fake people. Like the first verse kind of talks about like a bearded hipster, like, and like the second talks about like a woman who likes her rap as she likes her coffee, tepid and most definitely white. And like, yeah, it's full of like these little like witty like lyrics in it. Again, it's quite playful like experimentation going on, like, especially like on like the vocal part, like about like halfway through. Again, they're trying like different loops and stuff. So yeah, very like adventurous like this one here. And yeah, it is one which I do really like. It is quite long, like I will say that, but like when it's on, like it is like quite a nice groove to this one. So yeah, I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Manchester Calling.
And then the next song up is probably the most controversial one on the album. It is MCR Calling, or well, like Manchester Calling, like the title track. And yeah, it's kind of a sort of beat poetry, like I would say, like is like the genre like of this, but also like it's sort of like he's like people said that he's sort of like he's took stuff like from grime rap and stuff. It's not really, it wasn't really like what like I was maybe sort of like expecting like when people said that this is a kind of like a rap song, like a hip hop. It's more kind of like sort of like a poem like over like kind of like ambient like sort of sounds. But basically like it is sort of like the history like of Manchester, like sort of like sort of like from like Heaton's like perspective, like, but also like with him commenting that like he feels like the city like is being like destroyed by like developers, like and like a general like quest like for wealth. On it, like he can't resist like having a dig at Morrissey either. Like one of the lines goes, Johnny Marr's cool outweighed Stephen Patrick's mouth. And yeah, I mean, it is an interesting experiment, this one here. It's certainly unlike anything Paul Heaton like has ever done. But it is a song which, am I ever going to play it outside of the album? Probably not. So yeah, Manchester Calling would get a 5 out of 10 from me.
When I was just a lad, chalking rocks.
Then we finished the record with a song called My Legal High, which I think starts off with a really great sort of like rocking guitar riff, but then the song kind of gets a little bit lost, I think. Lyrically, it's about like the dangers like of drugs, like, and how like they don't work, like they're not good for you, like that's like that sort of thing. But yeah, slightly messy like arrangement on it, but it's a song which I think would work really well live, and it does end the album quite well, like after like the world of like experimental Manchester Calling. This is just a fun rocking track to end the album. So yeah, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, so overall, this album would score 82%. So I do think this is another fantastic album here from Paul and Jacqui. I think it still shows that he is one of our best songwriters, and like is still a fantastic, versatile vocalist. Now, while most of the album maybe isn't quite groundbreaking, like it's very similar like to like the last few Paul and Jacqui albums, very much like on like safe territory. A lot of the songs do really grow on you. Like it might not like it might not jump out at you like on like first listen, but certainly like the more you play it, the more you pick up on like certain lyrics, like certain like clever wordplay like he's using on it. And musically, like as well, like it's quite fun and like shows like a lot of variety, like from sort of like kind of like country style stuff. Like the only exercise I get is you and me were meant to be together, and like stuff like the prison and that. Like to more like rockier things like Big News, like In a Little World, and like All My Friends, to the sort of like ballads like The Outskirts of the Dancefloor and Fat Off the Land. Again, there's a lot of different musical styles on it. And that's before we get to the more like experimental stuff like later in the album. Now at 64 minutes, it is maybe a little bit long, and like some cuts might have worked better like as like bonus tracks, maybe something like He's Got What I Had or My Legal High, you know, but it is very ambitious in like this day and age to release a proper double album, and I think they have really pulled it off. I think this is a strong collection of songs, and like yeah, it's definitely for me gonna be one of the albums of the year. So yeah, that's been my review of Manchester Calling. So yeah, so if you have enjoyed, I would like to know what you think of this album down below in the comments, and we'll see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.
Give me withdrawals like I get when you